Good morning, 847, News Talk 99.7, WNTK, WNTK.com, News Talk 98.9 and 1490 WUVR. Kevin's forecast from Stormwatch 9. A partly sunny, comfortable day. Just a couple of scattered pop-up showers in the afternoon with a high near 80. Good weather all the way through the weekend at 63 right now at News Talk 99.7, WNTK, WNTK.com. Happy to welcome former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty, running for president, among the Republicans running for president in 2012. Governor, good morning. Welcome back to WNTK.
John, good morning to you, and it's good to be back.
Yeah, we first had this conversation when you were sitting in St. Paul, Minnesota, and said, hey, do you really want to do this? That was a couple of years ago, so now it is. You're in.
And you've forgotten me since then.
We've actually been trying to get you back since then. And it is good to have you back on the radio here this morning. When you go up to your website at timpawlenty.com, you'll see the banner that says Time for Truth. It's interesting that that's on there because we've been talking about the truth and candidates, and without sounding like Jack Nicholson from A Few Good Men, where he says you can't handle the truth, can Americans handle the unvarnished truth about what has to be done in this country?
John, I've used that exact same reference to the exact same movie and that exact same line in speeches, and then concluded, of course, the American people can handle the truth. They just need leaders that are willing to tell it in a constructive way, not for purposes of scaring them or exploiting them or misleading them, but to give it to them straight, but then also show them a way forward that's positive and constructive. So, for example, when I announced my campaign, I went to Iowa and I said, look, we're going to have to phase out the ethanol subsidies. That's not what you want to hear if you're in Iowa and you're running, particularly if you want their support as a candidate. I went down to Florida, where I am now, and talked to seniors in the next generation about what it's really going to take to fix Social Security, and went to Wall Street and told the bankers to get their nose out of the public trough as well. And of course, the public employee unions told them they can't be getting a better deal than the private sector. And everybody knows this. It's common sense. But people just want to know, are you telling it to them straight, and are you doing it in a way that is constructive for the country, and is everybody going to have some skin in the game? We all know we are in a deep hole. President Obama, on the main issues facing the country, specifically, where is his specific plan on Social Security reform? Where is his specific plan on Medicare reform? Where is his specific plan on Medicaid? These are the big cost drivers in the budget, and you can't find him, and he's the leader of the country. He's the president of the United States, and he's failing to lead on it. When I'm president, I will.
Governor, how would you have handled what we've just seen happen with raising the debt ceiling?
Yeah, well, this is now, of course, water over the dam in the sense as in time behind us, or soon will be, but I really don't believe anymore, John, that we can send politicians to Washington, D.C., or most of them, and that they're going to behave when it comes to spending and the nation's finances. I think we have to impose upon, as people, take back our government and impose upon the Washington politicians some limits and put up some guardrails. And that's why I believe strongly one of the best things we can do for our country is to propose and pass a constitutional amendment to force the federal government to balance its budget. The states have it, it works, and the federal government needs it. That's for the long term. In the short term, they should have at least gotten about the business seriously, about specific, permanent, structural reform, and this really doesn't do that. It is a very strange arrangement. I don't like it. It kicks most of the decision-making off to the future. Future Congresses are going to be able to change it or meddle with it. I don't have a good feeling about it at all.
Governor, we often hear, take back the government. What does that mean?
Well, our government's out of control. I mean, I've just set aside the rhetoric of politicians and just look at it as a matter of elementary school math. And you can see the spending commitments that have been made, the revenues that are coming in, even under optimistic scenarios, that those two lines never catch up. In fact, they're growing apart exponentially. So just as a matter of elementary school math, you can conclude the country's out of control. And the only folks who can really bring it back in are us, the people. And if we demand the people we elect live within certain boundaries and govern within certain boundaries and do this in a way that gets the country growing again, that rebuilds America economically, we'll have a bright future. And I know we can do it, but not with the person in the White House currently.
Former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty seeking the Republican nomination for president in 2012, joining us live from Florida at News Talk 99.7 WNTK, WNTK.com, and News Talk 98.9 and 1490 WUVR. Let's talk about entitlements. We've heard that a lot in raising the debt ceiling, that it's entitlements that's making this country go broke. Entitlements making states go broke. How do you tackle entitlements?
Yeah, and as governor, and on all these things, I've actually got a record of tackling them and doing them as opposed to just talking about them. So on taxes and spending and health care and conservative judges, I've done it all. And so in big time in a state that's pretty liberal. And I brought it from liberal to mainstream, headed in the conservative direction and accomplished these things. But as it relates to unions, look, public employee unions are some of the biggest defenders of the status quo and some of the biggest protectors of the current problems that we have. And their members and the unions can't get a better deal than the people paying the bill, which is the taxpayers, and that's what's going on. So when you drag them out into the sunlight and show the rest of the people that with the good deal that the public employee unions are getting and the taxpayers aren't getting, the taxpayers get mad, and they are okay with change. And so we had, before it was cool and popular, before it was the in thing to do, we took on the unions. We're one of the first states in the country to offer performance pay rather than seniority pay for teachers statewide. We had huge reforms in our state public and pension programs and benefit programs. And again, this was 3, 4, 5 years ago in many cases, took on a huge strike. But the answer to your question is you got to show the rest of the public that they're getting the short end of the stick here and take on the unions head on and bring them out into the sunshine. And when you do, the public comes on your side, and we're seeing that now all over the country. But we did it in Minnesota before it was the in thing to do.
And it's a difficult balancing act, I'm sure, because obviously unions bring big blocks of voters to the table. They also write big checks to candidates. So that's the balancing act there. Speaking to the point of money, when you mention Tim Pawlenty, they say good guy, but just doesn't have enough money to get it done.
Well, we came in second in fundraising in the last quarter. Mitt was first, Mitt Romney, and of course he's going to lap the field financially, as everybody expects that he will. He's the front runner, and he's, his strength is money, in terms of fundraising. But that isn't going to carry the day. It didn't for him last time. I don't think it's going to this time. So we came in second. There were some other people who were close to us, but others, contributed directly to their campaign a large check or transferred money from a congressional committee. We were second overall, but we were second by a significant margin if you remove the effects of people who either wrote themselves a big check or transferred money from a congressional committee. So we're not going to be the Mercedes or the Lexus candidate when it comes to fundraising, but we're going to be the Ford Expedition or the a good solid Chevy, and that'll be enough in the early states to be competitive and win, and then we'll leverage that with momentum going forward.
Governor, if we could go full circle back to our point about the truth. During the negotiations on raising the debt ceiling, we all heard that we all have a stake in this and that we all have to give up something. We all have to sacrifice. What are some of the sacrifices that I have to make as an individual voter, as an American, to get the country on a sound footing?
Well, I don't know about your particular situation, but we're all going to have to tighten our belts, and government's going to have to live within its means just like families do and just like businesses do. And so, I've been saying, you look where this money is going, and, there's only a few places where most of the money is, and we're going to have to look to the future. I think for anybody on Social Security currently, we don't touch. Anybody close to eligibility, we don't touch. But for the future generation, we're going to have to say we're going to gradually raise the retirement age over time. We're going to have to means test not the whole program, but the cost of living adjustment in the future to say if you're really wealthy, you won't get your annual cost of living adjustment, but if you're middle income or lower income, you will. And there's similar changes for Medicaid and Medicare. But look, the American people can handle the truth. And if we're not willing to say it and we're not willing to do it, then we're all just wasting our time. Any bobblehead can go and spew out the normal rhetoric. The question is, do you actually have a plan? Is it specific? Are you willing to lead on it? Are you willing to take some hits to get it done? And do you have a record of that? And in my case, I do. And so I think when people look under the hood of this race and see who's just talking and who's actually done it, I think my campaign will do very well.
Governor, can you monetize what middle income and wealthy are?
Well, in our proposal, we haven't put specific numbers around that yet, but we will. And of course, we've got a more specific plan than any candidate in the race. What I just told you is more information than you've heard out of Barack Obama in 3 years on the major issues. And he's president of the United States, and most of the other candidates are mum on all the specifics of it. But we haven't put numbers on it yet, but the intent is to protect the middle class and lower income, and we haven't put a number on what higher income would mean for what I just described yet.
Do you agree that wealthy is over $250,000 of gross income?
It certainly would be over that.
Governor Tim Pawlenty joining us live from Florida this morning on WNTK, WUVR. His website is timpawlenty.com. Governor, thank you for your time. Say hi to your wife, Mary. I know she's out there campaigning across the state of New Hampshire with one of our commentators, Jennifer Horn. And thank you for your time. Look forward to having you back on soon at WNTK.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.